miles an hour, but then USAC found a little something wrong with his fuel and disqualified him.
Well, Don Schilling was a driver that was doing double duty this evening. He also had a midget, was the third fast qualifier, had won a heat race, but that was also disqualified. So consequently, he's going to be a spectator this evening, and that's a very frustrating situation because this was a brand new sprint car, the second time out, and he gets the world's record. He had a chance earlier to talk in the pit area with Marty Reed.
From euphoria to despair is the best way to sum up Don Schilling's day. After setting a new world's record for a half mile here at Winchester, it has been taken away because of illegal fuel. And Don, you're saying you knew nothing about it?
No, we bought the fuel from the same people. My parts people ordered it. You know, it came from the same source we've always bought it back from in Ypsilanti. It's just a shame because the new car's got a new sponsor. Coletta's and Palone's together. You know, and I feel real bad for him because I was real happy that we set the record here. It was a big deal to me, and now I feel real bad for him that it's taken away. And it was, whatever it was, you know, it was a mistake of the chemical people. It certainly wasn't our mistake.
And you have no recourse?
No, sir. USAC told us to load the cars on the trailer, so, you know, our best hope is that we'll buy fuel from their source tomorrow, and, you know, maybe we could do good at Salem.
On to another track record. When young Jeff Gordon won last week at Raceway Park, I said, what are you going to do for an encore? He did it this evening, a world record in a midget.
Amazing how fast he went. A full second faster than the old record by Rich Vogler at 15:55, over 115 miles an hour.
We've had 4 heat races already. We take the top 4 to the feature. Jeff Gordon won his heat race. Roy Carruthers, Stevie Reeves, and Mike Stryker transfer. In the second race, Rich Vogler was victorious with Don Jones, Mel Kenyon, and Jim Keeker onto the feature. Then Russ Gamester, the defending national champion, won his heat race, followed by Bev Griffiths, Dick Pohl, and George Wilkins. The fourth race, Brett Poole won it with Stan Fox, Dan Drynan, and Mike Mason transferring. We are now ready for a 10-lap semi. We'll take the first 4. They are starting straight up. The fastest in front, row 1, inside Dan Ford, outside is Bob Fry. In the second row, on the inside, Mark Gerke, up from Panama City, Florida, Merrill Calvert in car 35. In the third row, on the inside, Wesley Holm in 69, John Myers in 22. And the fourth row, we'll see Jim Hines in 11, Terry Wenny in 33. The fifth row, Chris Malone, Critter in 78, Bobby Allen in 8A. The sixth row will have Ron Eden and Ted Hines. And in row 7, Rich DeLordo in 41, Dan Borst in 7X. So we'll take the first 4, transfer them on to the 30-lap main event. The advantage to running the semi, of course, you get to start straight up.
You get to start straight up, but you get a chance to check your car for the feature. You're the last one to start the race. It'll be interesting to watch the bright orange number 14 car, the only Toyota I have seen running in the midgets.
He's come a long way. That is Mark Gerke from Panama City, Florida. Here they come off the corner. A ragged start. The green will fly. Let's see if it stays out, Steve.
They haven't been leaving it out, but here they may. It wasn't that, well, no, here comes the yellow. It's going to be a restart.
Once again, the green will always be dropped from the flagman stand, and then the yellow will come out on the backstretch if we did not have a good start. That's to prevent a driver, obviously, from backing out of it too soon and getting hit from the back.
That's right. You're so fast that the reaction time, sometimes it's a chain reaction. The third or fourth guy in can't slow down fast enough, and they rear end someone. So they throw the yellow light on and let everyone have a chance to know what's going on.
Ron Eden will call it a night in the blue number 77.
That's a V4 Chevy. Don't see very many of those running around. It's a V8 cut in half.
Well, he had some trouble going on the straightaways. Just did not have the ponies this evening to qualify real well, so he parks that one. We'll try it once again as they come off the corner and down for the start. Oh, a problem right away. Hard into the wall. John Myers in car 22 almost tipped over. He's a former USAC Rookie of the Year.
That thing came real close to tipping over. When he was sliding sideways and the tire went flat, it jumped up on the side, but didn't have enough speed to go ahead and turn over. He was very fortunate.
John Meyer has a brand new car that will be debuted in a couple of weeks, and this one will go to the barn, but after this evening, he may put that in the barn sooner. Let's look again.
You can see him coming off the corner. He comes across the racetrack and gets hit by, I can't tell who it is.
Is that Wesley Holm that made contact with the dark car on the inside?
Number 35 car.
Merrill Calvert was the one that made contact.
And drove him into the inside wall real hard. Oh, yeah, he came in, and it slapped the left rear end hard, which flattened the tire, jumped in the air. When it came down, that tire was already flat. Now it's going to go up a little bit when it turns around and comes to a stop. Right. Well, it didn't quite go through.
He almost tucked that left rear and roll on over. He walks away probably more frustrated than shook up at this point.
I'd say he probably has some elbows or ribs that are pretty sore. That was a real hard hit he took. And luckily for him, it was just before the gate. Had it been another, 10 feet along, he would have been in the gate. And we've seen some terrible accidents in the gate at all racetracks. I'm not speaking of here, but all racetracks.
So once again, Ford will lead the parade down the backstretch. That is Bob Fry on the outside. And Bob wanted me to say hello to all the guys at the Sunland Mortuaries back in Arizona. He said, tell him I did not play hooky last week. He was at Raceway Park. They had some engine troubles with his sprint car. He could not run, but he said, I was there. Tell him I was not on vacation playing hooky. So there, I've said it.
He's the other one we call Digger. We used to have Gus Sohn we call Digger. Now we have two Diggers.
Well, he, of course, was victorious in the Little 500 for the 4th consecutive year. But they had some engine trouble with that same engine. Let's go down now to the pit area and Marty Reed.
Well, you can see just how hard a hit that John Myers took. You can see the scrape right here on the helmet. John, are you okay?
I'm fine. I'm a little dizzy, but I think I'll make it.
What happened out there?
I don't know. Somebody came down into me. Somebody got squirrely at about the start-finish line, and I really don't know. Somebody hit me, and it got me into the wall. My sign painter is going to be a little mad. That's the second time I've worn that helmet, and he scraped up all the paint.
Yeah, but the nice part is it did its job.
The head's okay. That's the good thing.
We'll see it next race.
I hope so. Thank you.
Track is clear, and there is the furled flag from Wally Shear indicating one more lap before we go green. A very hot, muggy, hazy, humid night, but we're turning out some horsepower.
Well, this heavy weather, it helps the engines run. The engines, normally aspirated engines, like this heavy air. They make a lot more horsepower. The heat today wasn't really a strong sun heat on the racetrack, so the heavy air made up for the heat of the day.
Okay, it's up to Dan Ford now from the pole position to pick up the throttle. We see some sparks as the car bottoms out. There is the green flag. We are racing now in a 10-lap semi on the last chance race. The first four will transfer onto our main event. Coming off the second corner, it's Bob Fry in that yellow number 20. And look at Mark Gerke very close to the wall.
Very close to the wall. He is letting it all hang out, but I'm pleased to see that Toyota run so good.
He tries to close in now on the yellow number 20 of Bob Fry, and look at that. He uses every bit of racetrack, but elects to duck down behind coming off the second corner.
Well, it's hard to pass off the corner.
We have a yellow flag. And we're looking around the course right now to see what may have prompted that yellow. A car slowing down on the backstretch, but we may have some debris on the racetrack. We can see no other reason for the yellow.
That must have been debris, yeah. What I was going to say is it's very difficult to pass on the outside coming off the corner here. Most people will come off the corner, pinch the corner, come off below a guy, because if you come off high, you have to be all the way alongside of them before you even get close to coming off the corner, because they'll move up and trap you against the wall.
Well, I know you've held a track record here. You were considered the king of the high banks back in the late 70s, about 1980 here and at the Salem Speedway. We noticed that many drivers are running high through 3 and 4, a little lower on the racetrack than in 1 and 2.
Well, most drivers do run lower in 1 and 2. It's the tightest corner, and it's hard to convince yourself to run higher.
Well, right there is a good look at the lineup. There is Merrill Calvert. There is the airline pilot. We move back through the field now. There is Jim Hines in number 11. His son, Ted Hines, drives number 12. So a father and son in this race. And there is the green flag. We are racing again in this 10-lap semi, or the last chance race. And we will transfer the first four.
Gerke made a nice pass. He had a good restart. Made a nice pass under Fry coming off the 4th turn. And now that he's in front of him, we'll see if he really is as fast as he looked.
Toyota is no stranger to motorsports, but this is really the first foray into this type of competition, and the fact that he has a Toyota dealership down there in Panama City does not hurt.
No, that helps a lot, and he gets all the good stuff, I'm sure.
Well, here is a battle for the transfer position. Car 35, the black car, and that is Merrill Calvert. Then it's Dan Ford in 10, and running the 5th position is Wesley Holm. Wesley Holm in that blue, number 69, and he tries the high side down the backstretch and gets pinched.
He would get pinched, and it'd be difficult to get around Ford on the outside because he has been loose, and you have to be real careful.
Well, Ford in that number 10 car has that fourth and final transfer position. That's the battle right now. Ford and White. Oh, look, a new leader. There may have been a problem. There is a problem with the number 14 car. We just talked and singing the praises of the Toyota, but there's a problem.
That's the second time tonight the car has been running real well, and all of a sudden it quits. Now, my guess, without having anything to knowing what's going on, is it's got electronic ignition, probably, and I think that might be the problem, the way it quits so quickly.
Well, Wesley Holm in that blue 69 then would go to the fourth transfer position, and right now a sizable lead for Bob Fry in car number 20. That's the Nibel-built machine. Merrill Calvert rides in second position as we ride now with Bob Fry off the second corner and down the backstretch.
Bob Fry has lots and lots of miles here. Here's the transfer spot. Well,
This is the battle for third and fourth, because with Gerke dropping out, Wesley Holm moved into fourth, but we may have a battle yet for that final transfer position.
It looks like Critter Malone.
Chris Malone, and he has some trouble coming off that second corner down the backstretch. This is the battle now for the fourth and final transfer spot. Sparks bouncing off the cars. They begin to bottom out on a rough racetrack.
Going fast and bottoming out, that happens here all the time, but I'm impressed with Chris Malone. As few races as he has run, he knows how to run this racetrack in the right place. He's just not quite as fast as Ford right now.
White flag being displayed. One more lap for your leader, Bob Fry, and there's a shot down this main straightaway as the sun begins to set on this Saturday evening in Winchester, Indiana. And there's a shot of Chris Malone. There's a shot again of your leader, and soon, after one more turn, to be your winner. And there is the victory for car number 20 out of Wickenburg, Arizona. That is Bob Fry. Merrill Calvert will go second. Third will be Wesley Holm. And fourth will be Dan Ford. So Ford held on for that fourth and final transfer position. And that will move those four drivers into our 30-lap sprint car, make that midget feature. We have a doubleheader this evening, Steve, with the midgets and the sprint. This is a real treat.
We haven't seen that for many years, and they have two of them this weekend. They have it here tonight and at Salem Speedway tomorrow afternoon. So that's it's a phenomenon that all of a sudden, after 10 years, we're back to having two midgets and two sprints in the same weekend.
Once again, Bob Fry takes the victory. Merrill Calvert, the airline pilot, finishes in second. Wesley Holm came home third, and Dan Ford held on for fourth position. So those four will advance to comprise a 20-car starting field for our 30-lap main event. And we talked about this double header. This was what we had many years ago, and then of course the sprint cars took a sabbatical from pavement racing until a couple of seasons back. So it's great to have both the midgets and sprint cars on the same bill.
It really is. You get to see auto drivers compete in both, Rich Vogler and Bob Fry, and they're good drivers, so it's really a lot of fun to watch how they work in both cars.
Let's go to victory lane with Marty Reed.
Well, Bob Fry is a practicing mortician during the week, and he was deadly to the rest of the field here in the last chance semi. Congratulations. What was the key for you?
Well, actually, our LJ Mold Columbus container, Gene Nolan plastic midgets, seems to be getting closer and closer. I ran this in Phoenix in February, and I haven't run it since then, so we're kind of finessing our way back and getting a little quicker with it all along. So I think we'll make some more changes, and maybe we'll be all right in the feature.
Well, you're on the right track. We'll see you in the main. So we'll be back with more here at Winchester Speedway in Winchester.
The big Q is what?
Motor oil. By Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by Champion, makers of the high-output technology spark plug, the world's most advanced. And tonight we take you to Milwaukee, Wisconsin for the third stop on the American Racing Series to see if the young Canadian Paul Tracy can win his third in a row. Derek Dale and I were there, and this is how we called it.
We have overcast, threatening skies here at Milwaukee as the cars roll away. It's set for 100 miles, 100 laps. We're going to have to run to see whether we get the whole race in or not. Let's go.
Saturday night.
The Sherwin-Williams winner of the last
12-lap semi for the sprint cars. Now, we had a terrible crash just moments ago involving T.J. Nish, and here it is once again. Steve Chassie, it looked like he caused his own problems.
It is. You see him. He comes out behind Jerry Niemeyer here, follows it down the straightaway. He makes a move to the inside. He turns down inside of him, and he jumps on the brakes a little bit, and he slides right up into him, runs over his left rear, goes up and bangs the wall hard, gets upside down, pirouettes actually, then he gets You know what? He never got upside down. I thought he got upside down and just did pirouettes.
Well, the car was totally trashed out, but he is standing by right now with Marty Reed.
Well, TJ Niss has just been released by the medical experts here at Winchester Speedway. Obviously, a horrific crash. Your wife, Wendy, is watching in Utah. We want to let her know you're okay.
Yeah, I want to let her know that I'm fine, and everybody else back in Utah. I want to thank Jesse Plummer for putting me in the car tonight, and, you know, we kind of fought it all night, and the throttle stuck open, and nothing I could really do, you know.
Well, we're glad to see that you're okay. We'll see you at the next race.
Just a few bumps and bruises.
We call that racing rheumatism. He'll feel it when he climbs out of bed tomorrow.
I've felt that, and you can get it real easy here.
Jeff Bloom with 2 of 12 laps completed, leading Mark Alderson, Greg Staub, Greg Wheeler, Mike Blake. We are about to go green. There is the furled flag. 1 more lap to go, and I am very impressed with the job Roger Holloman, the track owner, has done with the lighting here.
There hasn't been lights as good as this racetrack for a night race since years.
He joined us last week from Raceway Park. He slid down the track almost like the shuttle taking off. Said it took about $800 and about 50 man-hours to repair this car, but here he is, number 67, and he is leading on the restart.
When he had a roadster that was a heavier, obsolete roadster, and he would race with us.
He is a pavement specialist, only one of like 3 drivers that has won both a sprint car and a stock car feature under the USAC banner. Very versatile, but right now he confines primarily his racing to the sprint cars. A good battle for the 4th and final transfer position. Remember, only the first 4 will go on to the main event.
81 car is Mike Blake.
Mike Blake is very squirrely coming off the corner. And there is Greg Wheeler in 16 as we look back to Blake in 81.
And the 21 car that's behind there also is Red Stauffer.
Incredibly fast and really no place to rest on this racetrack.
There really isn't, because when you come off the corner, it's so bumpy at this racetrack. You're busy all the time sawing the wheel. There's Red Stauffer trying to make his position on Mike Blake. He can't quite get the job done. He gets in good, but then in the middle of the corner, he's too slow to keep it up.
He's also very low, so he's scrubbing off some speed and momentum.
Oh, yeah. If he gets a good lap, right here, this might be it. He might be able to get by on the inside now.
But see how low Mike is in the 81 car, forcing Red to go even lower.
If Red felt good enough about his car, he could go by on the outside just, well, now look at there. Now he's got it down. There he goes. Nice move.
Well, he had an opening to the inside. He was able to turn down, but as we talked to Don Schilling last week after making a midget debut after years of successful midget driving, or sprint debut, we should say, he said these cars are very slow in responding compared to a midget.
They are. They're slower in reaction time, but they make up for it by being an animal with horsepower, with speed.
Well, once again, a 12-lap semi or a last chance race. We transfer the first 4, and now coming up yet this evening, 2 live 30-lap features. 1 with the sprint cars, 1 with the midgets. And there's a look at the front of the pack through turn 1 into turn 2. That is Bloom in car 67. Jeff out of the state of Michigan comes off the corner and down the back stretch. And there's a look at Mark Alderson. And there's the battle for transfer position. There is Stauffer to the inside of Wheeler. There's the most important race on the racetrack, and look at the hot brakes on that right front.
Stauffer has used up his brakes, it looked like. It's just glowing bright red.
The checkered flag out now for Jeff Bloom. He takes the victory.
He's going to try him on the outside. He's turned up tight. Now he's going to pull down the bottom, and if he gets a block, he might make it.
He's on the apron. He almost lost it.
Didn't quite make it. Of course, if that right front brakes is hanging up, that will make him be loose. Maybe that's why it's bright red. That's like just stopping one corner of the car.
Well, Jeff Bloom takes the victory after working some 50 hours this week to get that car back in raceable condition after last week's foray there at Raceway Park, where he finished the race. Well, he didn't get upside down, but he went about as far over as you can.
He did an exceptional job of not turning over. I thought he had turned over. As a matter of fact, he might have if he not had a little bit of luck.
Race fans, this store's for you. Start your engines and come in for the most exciting selection of racing collectibles in the Midwest. Victory Lane in the Union Station carries the newest selection of shirts, hats, patches, pins, jackets, and posters, featuring items from kart.
Third, Greg Wheeler held on for the fourth and final transfer position. Well, as we said earlier, it is a potpourri of motorsports. We've had the ARS from Milwaukee. We've had midgets and sprints. And right now we take you to Thunder Valley. That's Bristol, Tennessee. Bob Varsha and Ted Jones start ever in one of these races. Bev Griffith starts on the pole alongside his Jim Keeker. In row 2, we have Mike Stryker and Stan Fox. In the third row, Rich Vogler, the fast qualifier, Jeff Gordon. Row 4 is Mike Mason, a brand new Beast chassis. Don Jones starts alongside. In the fifth row, Russ Gamester and Dan Drynan. Row 6, Roy Carruthers, Bob Fry. In the seventh row, it's Dick Pohl and Dan Ford. Row 8, Stevie Reeves, Mel Kenyon. Then it's George Wilkins, Merrill Calvert, Wesley Holman, Brett Poole. We have a green start.
A 3 abreast, sometimes 4 abreast start. Always exciting here at Winchester, but they all get through clean. They're on the backstretch now, so it's a good start.
Into turn 3. Keeker in a car that has, there's a good inside the cage cam. That down the front straightaway into turn 1. And once again, this is Russ Gamester, the defending national champion. And there is a look at Gordon in the Diet Pepsi number 4. The sparks fly as he bottoms out coming through turn 4.
Gordon is amazing how fast he is. He makes it look so easy. He's just going away like no one else is here.
If you've just joined us, he set a world record in qualifying earlier this evening. And right now he is going for his 4th straight win on ESPN Live on a Saturday night. The youngster, only 18 years of age. He's from Pittsburgh, Indiana. Been racing sprint cars since he was 13. We look back in the pack just a bit, and that's Keeker in 6th. And there goes Vogler to the inside, but he has a long ways to go to catch this driver right here. A shot down the front straightaway. Look at the gap between first and second.
Well, Vogler made one pass now. He has to get by Keeker before he has an open track. Keeker's running pretty good, but Vogler has the inside line handled right here on this pass. He's gone.
We go back to the Russ Gamester mount as he has a gaggle of cars out in front of him, including Don Jones in that black and white number 51 down the straightaway. See how close he gets to the outside wall here. They go, whoa, look at Jones get sideways in front of him.
Yeah, he almost ran in the back of the car in front. He had the brakes locked up. Didn't seem to hurt Gangster, but he didn't make a lot of time up. You know, you would think he'd made 3 or 4 car lengths up in that deal.
You see a car do that in front of you at this speed, it puts your stomach up in your heart.
Well, you have no reaction time here. The closing speed is so great that it's frightening. That's a heck of a ride you're taking right now in a midget car around Winchester. These cars are going faster than ever before.
Down the backstretch into 34-degree banking. That is higher than Daytona. It is higher than Talladega. And there is the Beast chassis, the Diet Pepsi number 4. Raleigh Helmling owns this car out of Vincennes, Indiana. They took it up to the Bob E shop this week and had some machine work done to the front suspension. It obviously paid off.
It looks like he just blew up. Yeah, he's pulled down the backstretch. He's all done. He was going away to win this race, and he's all done.
A problem with the leader. And there is Jeff Gordon. He will not win his 4th in a row as he is coasting to the infield. He is out of this race.
That puts Rich Vogler ahead with almost a straightaway lead already.
Vogler drives a new white Vogler Craft entry, the Jonathan Bird Pepsi Bryant car, a 5-time USAC midget champion, the only driver in USAC history to win both a midget and sprint car title in the same season, and that makes for a lot of racing, Steve.
It makes a lot of racing, but it also makes you very busy. You don't realize how much traveling is required to do both of those series.
Of course, he has his own plane, a twin prop that he flies himself around the country, and here's a good battle back in the pack. That is Stan Fox in number 9.
Mike Stryker in the 8th car, putting in a real good battle.
And there is Bev Griffiths in number 15. We saw Bev win a midget race at the Indianapolis Speedrome a few years ago.
Here's Keeker, and he's the 4th car in that pack. But it looks like it's going to be a tough race here between Stryker and Stan Fox.
A good battle as Fox looks to the inside. He was victorious on the mile at Phoenix back in February in the Copper Classic, and he ducks to the inside and goes by Mike Stryker. And here comes Bev. She takes a look to the inside.
Stryker must be slowing down a little bit. He was holding his own spot real good, and now everyone seems to be on it real close.
Now Keeker takes a look to the inside of Bev Griffiths. Keeker in that yellow car, that Pontiac, being tooled now by Glenn Nivel. And oh, Ben gets sideways right in front of him and slides off the race course. That was very, very close.
That was a very good job by Kicker to miss that spin, because he was close enough when she spun. If he hadn't locked up his brake, you saw the smoke from his brakes. If he hadn't locked it up, he might have tagged her.
Well, the yellow flag now comes out, and we've had 15 laps complete. We'll take a look again at number 15, the black 15 of Bev Griffiths, and she was battling with Kicker as she goes into turn 1, and watch this.
Goes into turn 1, the back end just comes out. I didn't see anything wrong, and Kicker just missed her. He really was on the binders hard.
We look once again, and you see Kicker almost brings his rear end around as he climbs on the brakes.
Wow, that was close.
Good reflex.
Very good. It was very close, though. Couldn't see any reason why she got sideways. She just, all of a sudden, the back end came out.
Well, we thought that maybe Jeff Gordon would take his 4th straight on ESPN. Not so. He is standing by with Marty Reed in the pit area.
Well, just before everything let go for Jeff Gordon, I had him timed at under 16 seconds with full tanks and everything. You were flying out there. What happened?
Yeah, and the car is just working outstanding. You know, it felt like I was on a rail. I mean, I wasn't pushing it hard at all. You know, I was just really feeling the car. I'm just trying to be as smooth as I could, try not to hurt my tires. Motor started missing a little bit there, and I noticed it lost oil pressure, so might have lost the motor.
Well, you've still got another chance in the sprint race, and that's coming up right after we get past this midget, as we're in the main event here with Winchester Speedway in Winchester, Indiana. Saturday Night Thunder continues after this.
The leader as he went to break, Rich Vogler has fallen out, and he is standing by with Marty Reed.
Well, Rich Vogler, it seems like nobody wants to lead this race right now.
Well, I don't know. My motor just quit on me. I don't know what happened to it.
Well, Jeff Gordon had a motor go, and everybody was trying to make history tonight. I know you wanted to be the first to win a double here. He wanted to be the first, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen now.
Not going to happen for me. Thanks.
We'll see you in the sprint.
Okay.
Well, you can tell by the demeanor, he's not very happy right there. Stan Fox will lead now, and he really inherited the lead, but sometimes his drivers say, Steve Chassie, I'd rather be lucky than good.
Well, sometimes you can't do anything about it. It just comes to you. But he wasn't running bad. I mean, he was running second, but a straightaway behind. But when he got 3 with traffic, maybe he'd have done better.
There's a look over the top cage of the number 1 car, defending national champion Russ Gamester. We are ready to go back to racing. The green flag should fly this time down the front straightaway. There it is, 14 laps complete. We go to work on lap 15. And we have Stan Fox out in front in that white number 9 right behind the white and red number 8 of Mike Stryker. A pair of beast chassis down the backstretch into turn 3.
He's not really pulling away from Mike. Mike's staying right with him. But Kicker made a nice move to get up to 3rd right there.
And look how rough the track is. Look at the helmet bounce around in the cockpit, and he just got passed by Roy Carruthers. Roy Carruthers moves up to 5th, and Russ Gamester drops to 6th. Oh, a great shot down the front straightaway. A nice crowd here on this hot night in Winchester, Indiana. And Carruthers gets sideways in turn 1.
Well, you know, these cars, a lot of them don't have a double master cylinder, and without being able to make the front brakes and the rear brakes operate separately, they get too much rear brake on these cars. A dirt car always has more rear brake, it seems, and most of these cars are dirt. Boy, there was a sideways right there.
How disconcerting is it to ride up behind somebody and see those sparks?
Well, the sparks really don't bother you because I don't know about that at night here because, I mean, I haven't run here at night, but I wouldn't think that would bother you as long as the car is going straight.
Now we see Bob Fry move into that yellow number 20, so we have 4 cars right together, nose to tail down the backstretch, and Fry takes a look to the inside. Whoa! Kicker put a slide job quite inadvertently on the competition there.
He did a slide job, but it wasn't a chop job. He was sliding but going forward at the same time. It wasn't like he cut his line off. He just took it away.
Well, Gamester looks like he's trying several different lines there, and now we go back to the CarQuest cage cam looking over the top.
Look how that's Danny Dryden, I think, and yeah.
33.
In 33. And look how his car is moving around. Even on the straightaway, the car is moving back and forth. There's a move down to the inside. We'll see if he gets by or he comes back on the right side.
A great 5-car battle with 10 laps to go, and there to the inside goes Bob Fry.
That's where you have to pass here, is on the inside, because if you get on the outside, if a guy moves up, you're in the fence and you're in big trouble.
Well, as we get toward the end of this 30-lap main event, it's a half straightaway margin now between Stan Fox, your leader, and Mike Stryker riding in second position. That red, white, and green number 61 is 7-time USAC midget champion Mel Kenyon. He moves into the fray.
33 is Drynan, and 61 is Mel Kenyon. Drynan looks like he's running real loose, and that's why these guys are getting by him. That's why his car is wiggling.
Oh, hang on. That's Mike Mason in the brand new beast he just picked up yesterday. First time in the racetrack, and he was ecstatic. He qualified so well this evening.
I bet he was ecstatic right then also, but a different way.
A farmer from neighboring Ohio, and he's having a great time out here tonight. But the tires are starting to go away now.
Well, they've been running them hard enough, and to run hard in a midget here, most times you have to run a little loose to be that fast, and the tires do give up in 30 laps.
Mike Mason, once again with that brand new car he just picked up yesterday, and he goes in a little low and a little hot.
Well, he goes in a little low, and down here in the first turn, when you turn in low, you always seem to get loose, but he goes across the grass and saves it.
And there is Mel Kenyon on the high side, and he now is trying to overhaul Mason. He does that and sets sail for Bob Fry.
He's got a three-car battle, though. He has to be careful where he is, because Mike Mason will jump right underneath of him and get by both of them.
He looks to the inside. He gets a little squirrely there. Tries to hold that inside line. Can't do it. Tucks up behind Bob Fry into turn one.
He'll have to work hard to get by Fry, because Fry is running real smooth and consistent.
Well, Fry is a master at these high bank tracks as we go back to the head of the pack. And there is Stan Fox, of course, a veteran of the Indianapolis 500, was ecstatic to be in the race, but didn't last too long as we go back in the pack. And there is
that's car five, Roy Carruthers.
Car driven by Roy Carruthers. The white flag is out. The final lap for Stan Fox. Jim Keeker is right behind him as we take a look at that battle into the first corner. The final circuit for your leader. And there is Fox into turn 3, into turn 4, and here is the checkered flag for Stan Fox. Here is a great battle for second position. Well, you'll have to call that one, Chassie, because
that was too close to call. I'm not sure who got the spot out of that.
I know that Stanley won it, though.
Stanley definitely won it.
So Fox wins it. Stryker was second. Actually, that battle was for third, and that was Roy Carruthers that took third. Number 6, that would be Keeker, would be fourth. And then Gamester would be in the 5th position, and 6th would be Mel Kenyon. So as we take a look at your winner, Stan Fox coming right at the camera. He is now in victory lane. We'll come back, have a chance to talk with him as the doubleheader continues. We have the USAC Crestliner Vans Loctite Sprint Cars coming up next. Stay with us.
There's no dashboard light to warn you. No dipstick to check. Yet when warned, they could cause your car to lose control and braking. Don't find out your shocks and struts are worn by accident. Get your shocks and struts inspected at your Monroe retailer soon. Monroe, your safety could depend on it.
It's 7-Up Spot-a-thon. Get 3 spot stuff by collecting proof of purchases from specially marked 7-Up cans.
We're back at Winchester Speedway with our winner of the midget main event, Stan Fox, and congratulations, because the first half of this race, it looked like nobody wanted to win.
Well, the strangest thing, that's the first time I never remember on a yellow not knowing who's leading, and I'm leading, running around trying to catch the leader. I'm going, I wish they'd slow that guy down so we could all catch up, and finally I figured out, hey, it must be us, you know.
Well, you looked like you had it pretty well dialed once everybody else fell by the wayside. You were running 16.5-second laps by my clock.
Well, I haven't run here since about 1981, and I told Bob East, he's the car builder, it might take me a while to get my rhythm. up. But once we got everything going, the car's working fine. And I want to thank Jim Gilmore and Big Jim Sullivan and Steve Lewis, my car owner who's out in California, didn't even make it. That without them guys helping us out, we wouldn't be here, and I appreciate it.
Well, I'll tell you what, your rhythm was just fine. In fact, you probably could do a tap dance right now on the rest of the field. Gary, here's your winner in the main event for the Midgets.
How about that Gertie engine, too, huh?
Well, congratulations to Stan Fox. He takes the victory over Mike Stryker in number 8. Top 5, Roy Carruthers, Jim Keeker, defending national champion Russ Gamester. And, of course, we have the sprint feature coming up momentarily. A rare doubleheader. We're delighted to be at Winchester, Indiana, in the eastern part of the Hoosier State. And we're coming back. A great crowd on hand. Delighted to have you. We've got the sprint cars coming up. Stay with us.
Racing excitement, second to none, just waiting for you this Saturday.
ESPN last season.
And defending national champion took us for a ride. Russ Gamester had the cage cam. In 6th position was 7-time USAC midget champion Mel Kenyon. Bob Fry finishes 7th. 7th, make that 8th, was number 7. Mike Mason. Bev Griffiths finishes 9th. And Dan Drinan rounding out the top 10 in car 33. Well, Rich Vogler will take us for a ride in this 30-lap sprint feature. He will be starting inside, make that outside the 3rd row. He was the fast qualifier after the disqualification, of course, earlier with Don Schilling. But he had some problems in qualifying. He was going after a track record that he had just lost to Don Schilling. He had completed 1 circuit, which was 2nd quick. He was going down the backstretch. Call it, Steve.
And he got a little loose. He overcorrected when the car came around, and he couldn't turn it around fast enough. Went up and slapped the wall with the left rear. These cars are so far offset these days. When they get sideways and you correct it, if you overcorrect a little too much, it gets on the left rear and it really comes around hard.
Well, of course, the damage was minor. They quickly repaired that car, and he is back in competition now, and he will start outside the 3rd row. He is the fastest qualifier in USAC sprint car competition. They invert the fastest 6.
Well, he was actually 2nd fast, but he was only 400ths slower than the 14.9, right? He was 14.94.
We're going to show you that TJ Nish crash that came up during the semi. If you have just joined us, this is a frightening crash. We'll tell you right now, the white number 0 involved TJ Nish was uninjured as he runs into Jerry Niemeyer.
He tried to get a little low, and the back end came around, and he just ran over Jerry Niemeyer, slammed the wall hard, went up in the air, did about 3 pirouettes, never turned over, very fortunately, and ended up on the inside of the racetrack, and all he has is a few bumps and bruises.
And he said his wife was watching back in Utah, and he is okay.
Fortunately.
Frightening crash. We've seen a number of those in these high bank racetracks, like here and at Salem, but because of the rigid safety requirements that we have from USAC, in many, many cases, the drivers climb out and walk away.
The only thing you get are bumps and bruises, because the safety factor of the seat belts and all the padding you have in the car and your head strap, it really makes you feel comfortable in the car, but they hit so hard at these speeds here, you're fortunate when you don't get hurt.
Look at that dark number 4. We saw him in victory lane just a week ago at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Jeff Gordon, the 6th fastest qualifier. He will start inside the front row. Gene Lee Gibson will start outside in a 0G car. In the 2nd row, Bob Fry, a master of the paved high banks. Inside, outside is Steve Butler, a 3-time USAC sprint car champion. The 3rd row, a master on pavement, Gary Fido in car 42, and Rich Vogler in car number 1. He has the camera. In the 4th row on the inside, Jeff Bloom in 67, Eric Gordon in number 2. Outside, make that inside row 5, Mark Alderson, 3 car. Number 2 is Bob Ciccone. In the 6th row on the inside is Wayne Hammond. He has won before in the high banks at Salem, car 66 out of Tampa, Florida. Chip Thomas drives car 24. In the 7th row on the inside, 2nd generation driver Rick Howerton in 22. Larry Tyler in car 88. In the 8th row on the inside, Jim Mahoney in car number 8. Mike Zimmerman outside in number 27. And the 9th row on the inside, Greg Staub from Cincinnati, Ohio in 44, Trey House in 65. And in row 10, inside is Greg Wheeler in 16, Brent White at outside in car 45X.
This is, okay, we'll go down and see what Marty Reed has to say now in the pits.
Well, guys, one of the things that probably will be the key to this race, and Steve, you can talk about it a little bit more, will be tire stagger. You talked about earlier, if you're a 1/4 inch too high on the stagger, the car's too loose. 1/4 inch too low, and it's going to push. And you probably explain that a lot better because you've driven this track.
Yeah, really what happens, there's so much heat in these tires that the right rear tire isn't just right. It'll grow, and that's too big around and makes the car loose.
Looking over the top of the helmet of Rich Vogler, he starts outside the third row with the car, Quest, Cage, Cam, and car number 1, the defending USAC Sprint Car champion. The green flag flies, but I have to wonder if Jeff Gordon got too big of a jump. Will the yellow come out as they go down the backstretch? Let's watch, Steve.
He did get a real good jump, but apparently it's going to be a green flag.
But Gordon will be hungry now after that engine let go when he had the big lead in the midget main. Gene Lee Gibson, who holds the all-time record here in a super modified, is now riding in second position. Gene says, my dad owns this car as far as the frame, my brother owns the engine, and I put it all together and get to drive it.
Sometimes when you want to drive, you have to. Here's the cage cam. Vogler down on the inside to make a nice, easy pass. He has this car really hooked up. In the heat race, he ran real well, and it looks that way again.
But we also had a quick glimpse there of how hard that driver has to work in the cockpit. He's sawing at that wheel all the time.
And if you get a chance, we get a good view from the outside. His steering wheel is almost straight up and down the car like a stock car steering wheel.
Makes a move to the inside of Steve Butler, the 3-time USAC Sprint Car champion. And your defending Sprint Car champion now rides in third position. Vogler is third. Butler is fourth.
Vogler is really fast in this car tonight. It's one of the light 302-inch Chevrolet V8s.
Well, there is number 4. That is Jeff Gordon, and he continues to lead. Again, he drives a beast chassis. Bob East building both the sprint cars and the midgets now.
And doing an excellent job. Both the midgets and the sprints work just super no matter where they go. And it's very surprising to see all his cars run up front. You know, usually you get some other cars thrown in. Now, there's a good race right there. That's Jeff Bloom. It's tough to hold him behind you, but it looks like Gordon is going to keep him behind. I don't know. We didn't see enough of this race yet. As we watch this, we'll see.
Well, that is Eric Gordon in the white number 2. No relation to Jeff. He's from Greenfield, Indiana, just about 18 miles east of Indianapolis. Bob Ciccone has pulled to the infield in car number 2, so Bob Ciccone from Prospect Park, Pennsylvania, is out of this race. And they're beginning to lap car 27. That's Mike Zimmerman. He stays to the inside, and he'll let the faster drivers have that outside groove on the 34-degree banking.
Looks like Mark Alderson's come up in this fray now. He's also a tough customer here in the banks.
And look at Vogler. Vogler has moved right into second position, and they're inside the car. Vogler sets sail for Jeff Gordon.
You watch the right front on Vogler. He's not pushing, and he's not loose. His car is excellent. But look in front of him now. You see Gordon. His car's all over the racetrack. His car, I think, is a little loose. This should be an easy pass for Rich. He'll just set him up right here, turn down below him. Well, he had a blocked car there. He'll turn down below him and just drive right by him in the middle of the corner.
And we may have a look as we ride along with the 5-time USAC midget champion, a 2-time sprint car titleist. Some heavy traffic now. That may play to his advantage. He takes a look to the inside, but can't make the pass there.
He can't make the pass there, but he's running good enough. Unless Jeff all of a sudden gets together, he's going to have trouble getting by him or staying in front of him, I mean.
Now watch the driver move that steering wheel. He's constantly fighting that steering wheel here.
Well, you do. You have a... Whoa, you see how loose he was on the entry? He is...
Oh, they get together in turn 2.
It looks like...
slow down. What, we have a yellow? I don't...
No.
No.
Gordon must have blown up, and Rich ran in the back of him. I can't figure anything else out.
Well, they're both off the pace, and I thought for a moment we had a yellow.
See the flat right front tire on Vogler right there. For some reason, he just slowed. He must have broken again. He broke earlier in the midget feature. I think he broke there, and Rich had no chance. He was on the gas and drilled him.
Well, we'll take a look again as Rich Vogler was chasing down Jeff Gordon. Gordon very loose, fighting that car all the way around. Now watch as he brakes right here.
He just broke. The engine broke, or it came out of gear, or something happened, and Rich had the hammer down and could not miss him. Flattened his tire. Now we've got Gene Lee Gibson leading and Steve Butler in second.
Well, Gene Lee is certainly no stranger to the high banks. This is only about the 3rd outing for this car. This is the car that he was tire testing at Sandusky, and the drive shaft broke and came up through the cockpit. He was injured and out of commission for a while. Oh, now he's smoking.
These guys just can't win a race here tonight. If you leave this race, you're in big trouble.
Well, there's a look at Mahoney. in the Valvoline number 8. And here again is number 0. But now we got a black flag. Yes, a black flag for your leader. And that will give the lead to Steve Butler. And there is Butler in the Aristocrat Products car. The Johnny Vance-owned Sprinter. The Kokomo veteran will inherit the lead as the black flag again being displayed for Gene Lee. If he's laying down oil, it could be very difficult for anybody to go by. Now he slows down. He'll heed the black flag. He heads for the pit area. What else is going to happen here, Steve?
I don't know. We'll see if he can run more than 4 or 5 laps without a problem. But when a car's smoking in front of you like that here at the hills, it's very, very nervous time because you don't know if you're going to get in that oil and slide or push up to the wall or get loose. We'll see how long the 2V car can last.
20 laps down, 10 laps to go, and Steve Butler out of Kokomo, Indiana, has the lead right now. And Gary Fedowa in car 42 would ride in the second position as they have some lap traffic out in front of them.
This is this is the hard spot about Winchester to get through the traffic because you can lose so much time in lap traffic here.
That's Trey House in the blue 65 car, and that's the number 8 car of Mahoney. Let's go down to the pit area. Marty Reed has caught up with Jeff Gordon.
Well, you can see the damage area on Jeff Gordon's car where Rich Vogler ran in the rear end. And this is the second time we've talked like this tonight, and I don't think either one of us expected this.
Well, I know. It's too bad, but I guess our luck can't last forever. But car was running pretty good. Just something happened to the brakes. I went into turn 1, didn't have any brakes, and Rich didn't have anywhere to go.
We've got a replay of it from the in-car camera, and as you said, he had nowhere to go. Was it the brakes that went, or was it something in the motor that let go and got on the brakes?
No, I went into 1, and the brake pedal just went all the way to the floor. I must have spit some pads out or something.
Well, Gary, the 2 favorites of this race are on the sidelines.
Well, decipher that for us, if you will, Steve.
Well, apparently when he drove in the corner, that's why it got so sideways, because he just had enough brake left in it to the rear tires stopped. And of course, when the brake pedal goes to the floor, your heart goes to your throat. So he didn't pick the throttle up in the middle of the corner like you normally would, and Rich was expecting him to.
Well, a sizable lead right now for car number 2. That is Steve Butler. Butler tried very hard a year ago to make the starting lineup at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the 500. Failed to do so. But he's a regular with the USAC sprint cars and the Silver Crown cars, so we'll see him a lot this season on ESPN.
Yes, we will. And if he has no problem, if he can lead this race, and the jinx won't get him, the leader's jinx, I'd say he has a pretty good job because we're on the 28th lap right now. And it says full straightaway ahead of second place, which is Gary Fedowa. There's the white
flag. So, yeah, he's going to pick up the victory. He can almost coast home right now. Takes a very low line. Pulls up behind Thomas in 24. He'll negotiate the backstretch into turn 3. The final 2 corners for Butler. And Butler will not only inherit the lead, but inherit the victory here this evening at Winchester.
Well, you inherit it, but, you know, he still worked for it. He was running up there in the 3rd spot and had passed some cars to get to the 3rd spot, so he was doing a good job.
You've won a few races like that. You've also lost a few races like that. It all seems to balance out during a driver's career.
It does balance out. Sometimes you lead a race for forever, and all of a sudden something happens and you drop out. And sometimes you're 2nd or 3rd and can never get anywhere, and then something happens. Let's go on to Marty Reed down in the pits with Rich Vogler.
Well, I don't think you'll find anyone more frustrated than the man on my left right now, Rich Vogler. It's just not been your night tonight.
Well, I'll have to wait till the TV goes away so I can win races. I haven't been able to win on TV.
Well, obviously you just had nowhere to go in that accident.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon locked the brakes up. He said his brakes locked up, and I hit him and flattened my right front tire.
Well, we'll take the TV camera and head on out of here, and maybe we'll change your luck.
I'll probably win tomorrow when there's no TV.
Yeah, they go down to Salem in southern Indiana on the high banks down there for another doubleheader with the sprint cars and midgets tomorrow. We're coming back with more. Stay with us. What happens?
Well, you know, we don't really know. He got loose on the entry of the corner, and right in the middle of the corner, whether he just got off the gas or the brakes locked up, the rear brakes might have locked up. Rich couldn't avoid him. He was so close, and gathering him, he drove him in the rear and flattened his right front tire.
So they'll go at it again tomorrow in Salem, because there's another doubleheader with the USAC Sprint Cars and Midgets in Southern Indiana. Let's go now to Victory Lane and Marty Reed.
Three-time sprint car champion, and should we say maybe looking for number 4 now? A great performance today.
Well, that's what we're looking for. We got a pretty nice lead, but it's not even halfway through the season, so anything can happen. Anybody that watches what happens to Dale Earnhardt, knows that. So we're just, the Johnny Vance Aristocrat car has been running great, and Chuck Seipert, the mechanic's been preparing it well. We haven't dropped out of a race, except for the first one. We got involved in a crash, but as far as mechanical failure, it's been beautiful. And I'm really having a good time running with John, his son, and the whole gang. We really have a good time together, so it's just fun this year.
Well, let's bring Johnny in here for a second. Johnny Vance, the car owner, and you've got to be happy that he wasn't in the lead early. It seems like nobody wanted to win these races tonight, either in the midget or the sprints.
Steve made the decision which tires to run with, and it turned out to be the right decision because the guys up front were on 2 soft tires, and that's what happened to them, caused their problems. Steve sort of tells us what he likes to do, and we do it for him, and we're really pleased to have him. He's doing a great job.
When you get a winning rhythm after a while, I mean, is it something that you just feel going to the track, even though you weren't in the headlines as far as the qualifying or anything else going on tonight, that you said, hey, our number will come up again?
Well, we've been making some adjustments, and the last couple of weeks before IRP, which was last week's race, I got crashed pretty good on the miles, two races in a row with the Champ Dirt cars. So, I was that kind of interrupted any rhythm that I had going. So now we got her going again. So hopefully we go to Salem tomorrow, we can do this again. I've only run, this is my third time at Winchester to run, and I've only run Salem once in a sprint car. So the high bank tracks are real neat, and it's a lot of fun to run, but it takes a little while to get used to them, and I think that every time we run, we're going to be stronger and stronger on these tracks.
Well, you certainly were strong enough. Gary Lee, here's your winner, Steve Butler.
Thanks a lot.
He does have that lead and would like to become a 4-time USAC Sprint Car champion. Never been done before. Of course, we have a couple of other guys. Sheldon Kinzer won 3, and Larry Dixon won 3, and, of course, young Steve Butler, and he has a lot of years left in his career. Let's go back right now and take a look at the top 10. I think we have one correction to pass to you. Steve Butler, again, wins it. Then it was... Well, this is in the second 5. Chip Thomas, Trey House, Jim Mahoney, Brett Whited, and Mike Zimmerman. So the official results now, and we're going to come back. It's once again a hot, humid night, and the action is just about as hot as Mother Nature has provided in weather. We're coming back. Stay with us.